E360 TV proudly presents messages of inspirational stories. Live streaming now to millions of devices, including Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV, Android TV, YouTube Live, Facebook Live, with your host, Donna Guimwa, producer and host, Jim Grant, producer and host, along with Michaela Vidal, administrator and host, and Gaia Guimwa Balconi Wada, editor-in-chief.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Messages of Inspirational Stories. Today is all about pets we love. And folks, we've got some great stories about hero pets who have protected their owners from wildlife.
We certainly do. And I'll tell you right now, when it comes to demonstrating how much they love us as their human family, there's no limit to what they'll do. No. And Donna, this is our second week of our new fall program. We're very excited about it. We want to put our email up there because, of course, on Mondays, we're going to be covering everything related to the entrepreneur, the small business owner, the person who works out of their home, called the entrepreneur. The solopreneurs are commonly referred to, called making a difference in business. Tuesdays, we're all about finding health naturally. I get my words all crossed up here. Wednesdays, this is a dual type of program. This is about youth making a difference. And this is about young entrepreneurs, people that, young kids who saw a need and created a cause, that sort of thing. But it also branches over to people who are mentors to our youth, because right now our youth needs some good, positive mentorship. And I'm sure we all agree with that. And I know Donna does. And of course, pets we love. And of course, Fridays is Women in Leadership. Now, the reason I've got the email address there on the marquee, Donna, we don't mind if someone contacts us, do we? Or they send in a video of their pet?
No, not at all. Not at all. In fact, we encourage it, and we would love to hear from you. So if you have a story about any of these topics,
yes,
please, send us an email to inspiration@e360tv.com, and one of our staff will get it to us, and we will look it over and see if it's a fit for one of our shows.
Absolutely. And today we're going to talk about some national days some things that get recognition.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to let Donna kick it off, because Donna I know how she feels about this first one here. It fits, it's that good stuff in a cone, you know what I mean?
Well, actually, the first one is fall equinox.
Oh, yeah, it is, isn't it?
It is. So, the days are getting shorter, nights are getting longer. And, the cool, crisp weather starts to roll in. We are super humid here in Phoenix today. We've had rain yesterday and rain today. And last time I looked, our humidity was at 80%.
Wow. Holy smokes. That's very humid for you guys out there in the desert.
Really humid. And the mosquitoes are really happy.
Yeah, they're fat as ticks. This one, they're having trouble flying, huh?
But I love fall, and that's something I miss about being in Ohio. Is the gorgeous fall weather where it's, it's kind of nice during the day and it gets kind of crisp and cool at night. And then out my front door, I had the absolute wonderment and pleasure of literally watching leaves change all around me. And it was like looking at a painting every single day.
You're exactly right. That's one thing that I miss when I lived in Arizona for 20 years. Now I live in Texas, just northwest of Houston. And we don't have the fall seasons here like I knew growing up in North Carolina.
Right.
And for example, there was many times even here in Texas and in Arizona, goodness gracious, it may be 80 degrees during Christmas.
Yeah,
You
there's
know?
a couple times it gets like that.
Yeah. And I mean, it's just, it's funny how you grow up and get used to things and you just embrace those things.
Right.
And also, where my mind was, I was over, not, you were on the fall equinox, and I was over one more item over.
Yes, you were. That's the good stuff right there.
Oh, yeah. Today, and we've had National Ice Cream, different flavors and all that, but today is National Ice Cream Cone Day.
The waffle cone is my favorite.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I remember growing up when I first discovered sugar cones. I said, "Oh, this is it." And waffle cones. Oh, now we're
Right.
talking. And one of the things that I saw here that I was going to mention today is National Chain Mail Day. ChainMail Day. When I first glanced at that, what went through my mind, some of us folks that's, especially the baby boomers, we will remember getting these anonymous letters in the mail,
Right.
chain letters, and do not break the chain. And they all had different gimmicks and games or whatever, because if you break the chain, it's kind of like it's going to be a curse on you or something. And I never did
Right.
pass them on or anything, but because I really didn't believe in that. But I got to be honest with you. When something would happen to me, I'm going like, that chain broke. I broke the chain letter,
That's
Is
funny.
anyone out there in TV land says, "Yeah, Jim, I can relate to that."
Yeah, I remember those. Well, today is also a National Elephant Day
Mhm.
and National Rhino Day.
Mm.
And the thing of it is that both of those are really getting quite close to becoming endangered, especially rhinos right now.
I'll be done.
And because of the hunting for their
Ivory.
ivory, and
Yeah.
it's absolutely sickening. It
Mm.
just breaks my heart. So I know that there's a lot of good being done in areas where there's rhinos and elephants in targeting people who hunt them,
Mhm.
but unfortunately there's many that slip through, and these beautiful creatures that
Mm.
we need for our ecosystem are being
Mhm.
killed.
Yeah. They're not here for their looks. And that's one thing that we could all take a lesson from. We're not here for our looks. We're here to be a blessing to others as far as the human race. And that also means being a blessing to our animals and our planet and everything,
Well,
not
it's
use and abuse it.
being a steward,
Yeah.
right? Being a steward and a protector of everything around us. I know, like here, we have a lot of talk about, of course, we live in the desert, so water, and we're in a water shortage. Let's be honest.
Mhm.
We are in an all-time high water shortage here
Mhm.
for California, Arizona, uh, I think parts of Texas,
Mhm.
and you have to be a good steward. So one of the things that I look at is, what can I plant that takes the least amount of water but will
Mhm.
still grow,
Mhm.
right? Just being a steward of where you're at in your environment and what you can do personally.
Mhm. And today is also fall, as falling over, Fall Prevention Day, and a day that we recognize. And we need to, like with elderly people, it seems like if they fall and break their hip, that is usually curtains for them. They never really overcome that. And it's encouraging for us to be aware that no matter how old we are, how many times we've all come close to slipping on the bathroom coming out of the shower or something like that, or it's just that's something we need to be aware of. We need
Or
just to
falling
be
through from
conscious.
your animals daily.
Oh yeah, tripping. Yep. Especially
I have
cats when they do that.
I have cats that run in front of me everywhere I go in the house.
That's because she lives in a cat house.
I do. A
Yeah,
clouder of them.
yeah, all four of them. And I tell you, when it comes to our animals, I gotta, I want to share a quick little story about Dixie. Dixie is I looked her up, and because I was kind of trying to figure out what kind of a breed of cat she was, if she's just a, run of the mill, because we got her from an animal shelter. But in looking at her and reading up on them, we found out her breed was a Korat, Korat. And they're very unique animals, but what I get a kick out of animals, Dixie being a cat and the dog, Rudy, my son's dog Rudy, when we had him before he passed away, they were so tight they could look at each other eye to eye and communicate on a wavelength. And I'd put something up there like a piece of egg for, scrambled egg or something like that for Dixie. And she may, the way cats are, they're finicky. She may sniff at it, may bite a little bit or whatever, may eat it, may not. But a lot of the times she'd look at Rudy, he'd look at her, and she'd take her paw off the table onto the floor. And I'm going, and I just love seeing that. I really do. It's just precious memories for me.
Yeah, my cat Niner, she's funny. She's our big girl. We call her 2-ton Tussie with love because she's stocky. She's there's nothing petite about her, but she absolutely adores Jake, my dog. And if she gets a chance, she'll try and curl up with him wherever he's sleeping. And she'll go up, and I watched her the other day. Jake was laying down, and she went up and decided to clean his ears. And he doesn't like his ears messed with, right? Most dogs as a rule don't.
Yeah.
And so she was like, she put, because he's a big dog, right? She had her head in his freaking ear in there just, I looked over at Jake's like this. So he kind of shakes his head and she leaves. And then she walks around the other side and goes at the other ear. And Jake's finally like, okay, I've had enough. Yeah. And then the next day he was in the family room laying down on one of his beds. And I look over and there she is all curled up next to him, sleeping away. She just absolutely adores him. It's funny.
Oh, yeah. I remember when Rudy, he was a red heeler, an Australian cattle dog. He had congestive heart failure. And after he got sick and all that, Dixie was she'd pamper him. She knew he was sick. And prior to that, though, when he was healthy, she'd walk by, look at him, and smack his nose with her paw. That was her way of saying hello. And these are the kind of things that pets, this is how they really bless our lives, because they let us know that it's having fun and showing love and just being yourself. Goodness gracious. So many times we grow up and we forget how to act and have fun.
Oh, we become way too stoic and way too adult-like.
Boring too.
Yes, very boring. Very boring. Well, Jim, let's just jump in here, shall we?
Okay, all righto.
We have, I have a very, very needy cat in my lap right now. She's just being a kind of a pain. But, we have this about these incredible, incredible dogs. So this is about Peanut. And if I can get to the story, okay.
Yeah.
There we go. So she was, she had suffered all kinds of abuse and arriving in the Delta Animal Shelter with broken legs and broken ribs and a belly full of carpet. That's what she had. That was her eating. All right, child, you have to get down. Not only was this pup later adopted into a loving family, but he went on to save the life of a young girl who had wandered away from an abusive home. So her husband had the owner's husband had followed her, and to his surprise, he had found a shivering, naked 3-year-old girl curled up into a ball. He
Mm.
scooped her up, wrapped her in his sweatshirt, brought her inside. Um, I'm sorry, I'm really having a cat issue here. I apologize for you. She's just being a real pain today. But he called 911. He reported the incident. By the time the ambulance had arrived, the little girl could only say one word: doggy.
Mm.
Now, this is a dog who, was so abused and had nothing to eat except for carpet in its poor little belly, that it could have been just gone the other way and not been
Mhm.
loving and intuitive. But, it just goes to show that these incredible animals have appreciation for living in where they came from,
Mhm.
having a good life afterwards.
Mhm. Absolutely. I think that dogs really, they really appreciate what they have when they get adopted and into a home and they become part of the family. Those are some of the best dogs as far as pets that I've ever seen, as
Right?
far as loyalty, love, and everything. And they just, they just really, they just literally bite right into that scenario and they say,
Hmm.
hey, I'm home and I'm going to be part of this family. And it's kind of like, thank you, Jesus. They're
Right.
just amazing how dedicated they are to the family. And Donna, you've talked about Jake, how protective he is of you,
Yes.
and how he keeps an eye on you. He knows when you're not well or
Oh
if
yeah.
something's bothering you. Yeah.
If I'm in a little bit of, something's happened and I'm a little bit
Hmm.
irritated, he
Hmm.
will paw me to death with what we call, who those of us who own Pyrenees, we call it the pier paw, and they're notorious for hitting your leg or hitting your arm, and it
Hmm.
kind of hurts, to be honest with you.
Big dog.
Yeah, especially after about the third time. But even if I'm not in a great mood and something's really bothering me, he'll do that. He'll come up and he'll paw me. Or when my husband comes home from work, he'll be all excited, and he knows that we're not going to eat until he gets home. And so he gets excited and the paw comes out because he's home. Let's start dinner.
Yeah, we got rules here, woman. Oh my goodness! And in the stories that we're sharing with you today, that really touched my heart about Peanut because that year People magazine reported uh, what Peanut had did. And so here's a little dog that came from abusive situation, broken legs, broken ribs, stomach full of carpet, and yet he was able to make People magazine for his heroics. That's really something. And those are the kind of stories that really bless all of us. It really does because there's also a lesson in that for us, isn't it, Donna?
Yes, absolutely. A huge lesson. We need to look at where we've come from and how we can turn around and help others.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm reading a story here about a dog named Kelsey. And
Yes.
in the winter of 2017, a man in the snow in the frigid Michigan wilderness, he broke his neck. He slipped in the snow and broke his neck. Can you imagine that? Being
Oof.
out in the wilderness, you slip and fall because I guess we've all slipped and fallen. Those of us that's been around icy conditions and snow and stuff like that. Nobody falls gracefully.
No.
I mean, just you're lucky if you don't hurt yourself. But this man slipped and fell in the Michigan wilderness. He broke his neck, and as he laid there paralyzed, he just was kind of like saying, "Well, I guess it's my fate now just to freeze to death." What else could he do?
Right.
Imagine how he felt in that moment, laying there in the snow, cold, way out in the boonies, no cell phone or anything like that would work, and a broken neck.
Mm.
What else could he possibly think of? What would be the most logical thing would go through his mind? I guess this is it.
Right.
And his golden retriever, Kelsey, however, she had other ideas. She was determined to save him. The Telegraph there in the local paper there, the Telegraph reported that Kelsey laid on top of her owner to keep him warm for a full 19 hours, barking instantly until help arrived, long after her owner had lost consciousness.
Wow.
My goodness gracious. I mean, that she looks like a Labrador, but I'm telling you, for that dog to understand the
That
condition,
level.
yeah, the condition her owner was in. And that's what you were talking about earlier, because
Right.
Jake could actually sense something that was coming on to you,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Yep.
health attack or something like that.
Seizures.
And yeah. And for that dog to say, hey, this is my master, he needs help. I'm going to lay on him. I'm going to keep him warm. Where do these dogs get that understanding and that love? You know, think
they're
about
just
that.
born with it. They're just
Yes.
born with it. They
It comes from
really
a higher source too. It really does.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So
And
go
go ahead.
ahead. No, it's okay.
I was just going to say that, you know, it just amazes me how they understand and the love for they have, like this dog Kelsey had for her owner, her daddy. I mean, goodness, you know, that just everything else in their life doesn't matter. What matters is her daddy. 19 hours constantly barking till help come to keep him warm long after he had lost consciousness. That just really, you know, that touches my heart, ladies and gentlemen. It truly does.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So this next story is pretty touching too. This
Mhm.
is in Harbison Canyon in California, and it's home to Alex Laredo and his best friend Marley, a 7-year-old yellow lab. So unfortunately for these two, it's also home to rattlesnakes, and we have lots and lots of rattlesnakes here in Phoenix.
Oh,
Though
yeah.
they are typically rare there, rattlesnake bites, can obviously be very deadly. One day, while exiting their home, a 1.5 foot long rattler appeared next to Laredo and Marley. Marley didn't hesitate for a moment to defend his human from this threat. He said, as I'm walking out the door to my left side, I hear a big rattle. But before I could even turn, Marley had ran between us. He basically pushed me out of the way. He barks a few times at the snake. The snake lunges at him and bites him right on the tongue. It lunged again and bit him on the lip. Marley accepted the severe bodily harm to keep his human safe. Still in shock, Laredo was able to get him inside, where the poor hero collapsed in pain. Panicking, he rushed Marley to the nearest veterinarian 5 miles away. Unfortunately, that clinic didn't have a vaccine, so they had to go to a pet hospital 25 miles away. By this time, he wasn't doing so hot. Marley's face started to swell up as he began to have breathing complications. Blood also began to start pouring from his mouth. I was so scared, and I tried to keep my cool and think fast because time was not on our side. Fortunately, Laredo called the hospital ahead of time to check Marley in. So by the time they arrived, they were ready for him. All the while, Laredo worried deeply about his best friend and his savior. I thought he wasn't going to make it. Extremely grateful that he did. The vet let Laredo know Marley would have to stay several days in the hospital due to his condition. Obviously, that's huge, right into his whole breathing area. But they also worried that the venom in his tongue could affect his nervous system. So even though treatments like this can get really expensive, and with this much care needed, the costs for Marley's treatments were through the roof. Laredo emptied his savings account to pay for them. The hospital gave me an estimate of $9,000 to treat Marley, with the possibility of him surviving not really being guaranteed. I'm a full-time student at a community college while working part-time at a restaurant. I clearly cannot afford the hospital bills, but I was going to give my best friend a fighting chance. So he set up a GoFundMe page to help raise money to cover the expenses. And, people came to his aid and was raised about $8,000. Marley was given to me to help me lose weight because I was having health issues. Marley was my cardio partner because of his immense amount of energy. Thanks to months of walking and playing with him, I noticed my health complications began to go away, and I was motivated to continue to lose weight. Marley means the world to me. He's not only my best friend, he is a brave hero that saved my life from a rattlesnake. If it wasn't for him, I don't know if I would have the opportunity to be here today.
Wow.
And
That's
it showed
amazing.
a picture of him, and his cheek was just huge swollen.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
Mm-hmm. It truly is. And the problem with those smaller snakes, rattlesnakes, I mean, they're potent. Their venom is very, very potent. And I tell you, it's for that dog to not even hesitate
Right.
to literally bite the bullet for the owner. That's just amazing. We normally think, Donna, about dogs that do heroic things, or shepherds or Labradors or something like this. But there's a little bitty dog by the name of Jazzy. That's a Yorkshire Terrier. And in the spring of 2018, this little beautiful, cute little puppy, looks more like a stuffed animal, it made the news on the local Fox affiliate in Candor, New York. They reported how a Yorkshire Terrier named Jazzy made the leap from being a rescue dog to becoming a rescuer. And because Jazzy's diabetic owner fell unconscious. And when the little dog tried to wake him up, she was licking his chin, barking at him, and all that frantically. And this alerted his mother, the man's mother, who was able to wake him before he went into diabetic shock. And thanks to little Jazzy, her owner survived. Now, what's amazing about this, a lot of dogs are rescue dogs, and they're there to be able to, help you become, be your partner there in life, because a lot of dogs, they're trained to help people with PTSD and all kind of health situations.
Right.
And who would think that this little, I don't even know what a Yorkshire Terrier weighs, but it's just a couple of 3 pounds or so.
Yeah, they don't weigh much more than 3-4 pounds.
Yeah. And for that dog to be a hero and to understand that, hey, my owner needs some help. And here again, barking and alerting, saying, help, I need help. We need help here.
Right.
And it's just, we can't say enough about our animals. We really can't. We really, truly can't. It just floors me.
Yep. This next one is, it doesn't say what kind of dog he is, Jim, but his name is Sako. He looks like a German Shepherd, maybe might have a little cross of something else in him, but he's a big boy. Mm-hmm. And so this teenage boy and his dog were on a fishing and potato picking trip in Canada. On the drive home, their car veered off the road and down a steep hill over 100 yards into the forest. 16-year-old Joseph Phillips Garcia and his dog Sako were the only survivors of the crash, having been thrown from the vehicle. Phillips Garcia had a broken leg and a collarbone and couldn't move on his own. So his dog helped him to a creek to get water. The loyal and brave dog even fought off coyotes in the night as they waited to be rescued. This is what the teen shared. We were just falling asleep, and that's when you hear the first couple of howls. He got up as soon as he realized their scent was coming closer and closer, and then he just went in. You could hear them fighting and the bushes rumbling around. Sako stayed beside Phillips Garcia until the two were located by a search team 40 hours later.
My goodness.
Yes.
My goodness.
40 hours.
That's a long, long time. That's
Well, and here's the thing. I know about coyotes. You know, a dog that size, I can guarantee you 1 or 2 coyotes probably wouldn't pick on it. But a pack will try and wear them down.
Yes.
So for that dog to go in there and take on a pack of coyotes was absolutely heroically amazing.
Absolutely. And I was looking here at the story that really touches my heart, being a veteran and all. There was a dog, Layka, Layka, they call her, and she's a Belgian Malinois. She's an army dog, and in 2012, this dog lost a leg in combat, fighting with and defending her military family. And she was shot 4 times with an AK-47 as they were clearing a Taliban compound in Afghanistan. Every single soldier that was involved in this incident and knew her, they give her credit. They said her actions helped save all of their lives. And on their return home to America, one of them, Staff Sergeant Julian McDonald, adopted this 3-legged war hero. And, you know, you think a dog would get shot once, they're going to quit. But 4 times, and she never quit. That's, you know, that's above and beyond the call of a duty for any 4-legged pet. It really is.
Absolutely.
And, you know, Donna, that just goes to show you how much they understand and how much they care and how much they love their family.
Oh, absolutely.
It's just off the chart. It really is.
It is. So this next one obviously would be very near and dear to my heart. A dog swims through floodwaters to rescue autistic boy clinging to a pole. This is in Waverly, Tennessee, when the historic flooding on August 21st, 2021, the area was suddenly hit with 17 inches of rainfall, leaving at least 20 people dead and destroying 250 plus homes and countless businesses. In the midst of this tragedy, a grain of hope emerged in the form of a 6-year-old Great Pyrenees lab mix named Cooper. The dog being hailed as a hero after he helped a boy survive the floodwaters. Let's see, here it is. So the young man who has autism explained upon rescue how Cooper helped him endure the flood. Local resident Zanita Warren shared the boy's story in his Concerned Citizens of Humphrey County Facebook group. He said that when he was hanging onto the pole, the dog came down the creek and managed to swim over to him. He said, "The dog saved my life. He swam to me and made me hold on." I mean, holy cow. Let's see if I can find anything more about this story. I mean, you know, they can sense when people need extra help. You know, all dogs can. It doesn't say, Jim. It shows a picture of him.
Yes.
But it says, looking for his owners, the boaters pulled him out of the creek and brought him to the Waverly Plaza. He's safe. And he's safe at the animal clinic and, you know, waiting to find his owners. But it doesn't really go on to say much more than that. But what an incredible thing. That dog jumped in and managed to swim in that current.
That's really amazing. It really is, because dogs are not afraid to sacrifice their life and put their life in danger, I should say. And they don't think about, you know, oh my gosh, I could die. Their goal is on the mission of, you know, protecting or saving whatever it is. And Donna, this here is a very heartwarming story. This guy, he's a senior airman, David Sharp. He was living with undiagnosed post-traumatic stress. It's a disorder of depression and all that. And us military personnel understand that.
Mm-hmm.
And when he got back, he adopted a pit bull puppy from an animal shelter. Now, a lot of people, I realize pit bulls can be aggressive. I know that a lot of people are scared to death of them. Pit bulls have a very bad rap because let's face it, what kind of a dog was on the Little Rascals TV show back in the 20s and 30s when it was on TV? Do you know what kind of a Petey?
Right.
Petey was a pit bull.
Yeah, he had the patch, but also the first dog that went into combat for war was a pit bull.
Yes, yes. Mm-hmm. Sure
the
was.
very first one.
Mm-hmm.
And mostly pit bulls are only mean because of people.
Right, precisely. They are a true reflection of what you give them. They really are. And someone's mean to a dog. I mean, I just don't understand that. I truly don't. It's just, it's sad for someone to be that evil towards an innocent animal, especially a dog. And this dog's name is Cheyenne. He adopted this little pit bull puppy from an animal shelter, and he named her Cheyenne. And months later, Sharp, who was suffering from PTSD, it hadn't been diagnosed, but he was on the verge of committing suicide. Now, normally dogs like this, they are trained to be support animals and to be their service dogs to support someone that's suffering from PTSD and to help them cope with everything. And Sharp said he was on the verge of committing suicide. He was sitting on the kitchen floor of his home with a handgun. And Cheyenne, she came up alongside of Sharp. She sat down and licked his ear, and she made Sharp laugh. And the veteran said later that that little puppy in that moment gave him a new reason for living. And in saving Cheyenne from the animal shelter, she returned a favor by saving him too. And, you know, Donna, that's a dog that was just, the only thing she was just a dog, little puppy. It came out of an animal shelter.
Right.
And she just brought home, but yet her ability was to be able to recognize when her human family member was in serious, serious trouble.
Absolutely.
And you normally think of dogs like that being a support dog or a service dog being trained, but this little dog had no training at all.
Right.
I tell you,
they feel us on a level that we can't even comprehend, Jim.
Oh, yeah. And what does that say about us? We think we got to be trained. We got to be this, got to have an education, got to have a degree, got to have this. You don't need all that. Just be yourself, for goodness sakes, you know?
Right.
Really. Yeah.
Well, this next one is really sweet. This is about a dog who stops traffic to save her human during a seizure.
Wow.
Dogs can make us feel so much safer, even if they're not specially trained to protect us. Their unconditional love conquers all. And when an emergency occurs, most dogs are willing to do whatever it takes to keep their loved ones safe. Clover, the Marmara Nix, recently made headlines for her nurturing instincts. When her human collapsed on a walk due to a seizure, Clover acted fast. She stopped traffic and found help, all without taking her eyes off her mom. It's possible that the loyal pup saved her human's life. Now her human feels even safer knowing Clover can protect her. And it goes on to say that, you know, she wasn't sure if it was ever going to happen again. And she wasn't even trained for this. She wasn't even trained for this. She just instinctively knew. She said, if it ends up happening again, I feel 10 times safer knowing she will be there for me. You know how good animals are. And she's just a really amazing dog. And I love her to death.
This one dog here I want to share a little bit about because I'm a military guy. So I really go out, you know, when dogs go the extra mile, you know, especially in service and harm's way, it really means a lot to me. This dog is a shepherd, and her name was Luca. She had a 6-year career. She's a retired Marine Corps military working dog. And she led about 400 patrols in search of improvised explosive devices, the IEDs we hear a lot about, or have heard a lot about, and positively identified almost 40, saving multiple lives. And during our final act of service, Luca was struck by one of these explosive devices, and she lost her left front leg, but avoided permanent hearing and vision loss. And in 2016, she became the first U.S. military working dog to receive the Dickin, D-I-C-K-I-N, medal, which recognizes bravery or devotion to duty by service animals in the armed forces or civil service. And that really does, it really does touch my heart there, because I can guarantee you those dogs that's been around military people and they're receiving an award, they know it, they understand it, and they understand this is not some Tootsie Roll they're giving them. This is something that they earned, because every
Right.
ribbon that you receive in the military, every medal that you receive, you earned it.
Mm-hmm.
You really did.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So this one here, Jim, kind of amazing, because this is, all these stories that we've talked about, they're
Mhm.
they're helping, but they're all in different ways. So this one here is titled "Heroic Barking Dog Leads Passing Biker to Abandon Newborn."
Wow.
Uh-huh. So the Lassie story of a dog saving someone by alerting another person sounds sensational, but this really does happen. Dogs can sense when someone is injured, either through smell, sound, or human facial clues. They
Mm.
also know that barking gets people's attention. So, if I'm going to say this correctly, if I don't, I apologize. Sabogna, Southern Cebu, an intuitive dog saved the life of an abandoned baby by seeking out help. Around
Mm.
11 a.m. on Christmas Eve in 2020, John Rail Rivilla was driving his motorcycle near a dump site when the dog followed him, barking. Curious about the pup's behavior, Ravella followed him.
Mm.
The dog led Ravella to the site, where he was shocked to find an abandoned newborn baby
Mm.
wrapped in a towel.
My
Police Master
goodness.
Sergeant Tampos of the Sabogna Police Women and Children Protection Desk told the Freeman that the baby must have just been born. His umbilical cord was still hanging from his navel when the dog led Ravel to him. For this tiny baby, every second counted.
Mm.
Thankfully, the little dog was determined to find help, and that Ravella knew how to listen. The baby ended up in the care of welfare department. Authorities urged the abandoning mother, of course, to come forward, and anyone with any information to reach out.
Mhm.
In the meantime, local animal rescues took an interest in the sweet dog, hoping to find him a home. So he wasn't really a stray, as
Mhm.
they originally suspected. His name was Blackie, and his family feeds and looks after 10 dogs.
Mhm.
No matter how hard life is, even though I'm poor, I feed all my dogs and I take care of them well.
Mm. Absolutely. Hey, dogs are like kids. If family eats, we got to eat. No matter how poor we are, we're going to take care of each other.
It's funny because I have always told Edgy that, if it came to, there was one plate of food for me and my animals,
Mhm.
I would eat a very, very small amount and
Mhm.
divide it out between the five animals.
I
Very
can believe
simple.
that by knowing you. I can know that to be true, because I thought what she's going to say is that, Edgy, tonight you're not going to get much food. We're going to have to do some divvying up here, and I'm going to be doing the rationing out here.
Yeah.
Donna, I remember growing up, and a lot of people that's baby boomers will remember this. I was a kid in the 50s and an overly intelligent teenager in the 60s. But growing up, I think every kid on planet Earth wanted to have a dog like Lassie.
Oh,
Oh,
absolutely.
that was a show that was a classic. It is a classic show.
Hmm.
And the thing of it is that Lassie was so smart, obviously a well-trained dog for the TV show. But they would get these different scenarios where little Timmy would be in trouble and Lassie
Right.
would bark and lead him on it. And every kid, I think every kid probably in their heart wished, wow, I'd like to have a dog like Lassie. And the
Hmm.
good news of it is you can.
You do.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. That might have been a TV show with certain scenarios, and they had a trained dog to do the things that they wanted done. But in real life, you can have your Lassie, and I get a kick out of this one story, if I may share it here. If you were going to be betting on a fight between about 100 pound black bear and a little bitty Yorkshire Terrier, which one would you put your money on? Well,
Hmm.
it tells a story here where this lady, she had actually come into her house and she had left the door open, and a little Yorkshire Terrier, he starts barking all of a sudden. Hey, we got and she knew something was on. And she turned around, and here's this black bear in her house. And not only was this black bear in the house, this black bear had also created a cardinal sin. It was eating the little dog's food. So the little dog attacked this big black bear, biting at him on his paws and stuff like that, his heels. And that black bear kind of like, what in the world is this? And he took off like a shot out the door.
Right. Right.
But it just goes to show you how fearless these dogs are.
Right.
I mean, it just blows me away when I think about dogs and what they can do. And this little the lady that shared the story, her name was Deborah Epson of New Jersey, and she said her little Yorkie, his name is Joe, turned around and saw that big black bear eating his food, and hey,
That's enough of
no,
that crap.
yeah, yeah, you gotta go, buddy. You don't belong here. Number one, number two, you're eating my food. That's no. You,
Right.
I really, you think about you think a little Yorkshire Terrier would be scared to death of a big black bear.
No. Mm-mm. Sometimes I found that the little teeny dogs like that, just like, well, with Jake, he doesn't know
Mhm,
he's as big as he is, right?
mhm.
So he
Yeah.
plays in the house thinking he's about, I don't know, about 2.5 feet long at
Mhm,
max, and he's really 4 feet long. So he
mhm.
has no idea. But those little dogs think they're bigger than they are, and sometimes
Oh yeah,
they got that little dog, big dog syndrome.
yeah. We had a little Chihuahua growing up, and she was very much, you know, she let her presence be known. And I remember my mother and my dad both said, that it's a good thing that she's small, because if she was big as a German Shepherd, she would eat some people
Right?
because she did not like strangers in her house. And because that was, she didn't know them, and they're an invasion in our house. And every time, someone come over, we had to put her in a room, close the door or something like that. But she was fearless. She was fearless.
It's funny because I have to still, even though Jake is 12, I have to introduce him properly to people.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
absolutely have to introduce him properly, and especially to men.
Mm.
A lot of dogs do not like when men wear sunglasses and hats,
Yes.
and Jake is
Yes.
no exception. In fact,
Yes.
the first time my oldest son met him, he wasn't living with me at the time, and he'd come back to Ohio and was coming up out of the basement. And Jake wasn't even full grown yet, because giant breeds don't stop growing until they're 3 years of age.
Wow.
So right, their girth continues to grow. They usually get their length at about a year and a half, 2 years. And he came up the stairs and he had a hat on, ball cap, and sunglasses. And Jake was just very aggressive and kind of barking in a little bit of a low growl at him. And he's like, Mom, Mom. He's like, he won't let me come up the stairs. So I said, yeah. I said, take your sunglasses and your hat off. He took his sunglasses and his hat off, and Jake was like, oh, hey, it's you. Come on.
Yeah, yeah.
But he just, even to this day, it just does not like it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And we're going to be covering a lot of different stories. Next week, we're going to have a lady goes by Mama Mo Kalowski, and her dogs. She's going to be sharing some great information about her dogs. Her dogs have been in several movies, and she's going to be sharing that. And this is where we want this particular show here on Pets We Love to flourish to. So be sure and check us out, and be sure and send us an email at Inspiration E360TV if you have a short video, maybe 30 seconds to 1 minute long, and you'd like to show something special about your beloved pet. Doesn't have to be a dog now, because but whatever you've got there, please send it to us at the Inspiration at e360tv.com. Our staff will get the email. We'll take a look at it, and if we're able to, we'll be able to work it in, and we'll let you know that when. Be sure and tune in this Thursday. We're going to have your beloved pet on our show, and that's a nice thing, because that's what Donna and I like to do. We like to give back because we appreciate animal lovers, because we all got a little bit of animal in us, especially guys. That's an old saying for guys, an animal.
Right. Even though, we've talked a lot today, obviously, about dogs. I will tell you that it is scientifically proven that a cat's purr will lower your blood pressure.
Yes.
Now, I have obviously 4 cats, love them dearly, and they all have different personalities and are different with me in each their own way. But I was just telling Edgy last night, I miss he's gone now, but Siamese, my old Siamese, see, I lost him like 2 years ago. He would always sleep right here at my head and my shoulder. Always. He'd just plop right down. And he would purr so loud that purr just put me right to sleep.
It's a soothing vibration.
Oh, it is so soothing. It is so soothing. So, and I mean, and if you don't believe me, folks, look it up. I mean, it is scientifically proven that they do help lower our blood pressure. And, the trust, like when they're needing us. Now, granted, I get pricked by their claws a lot, especially 2 of them. But they need pretty hard. My 2-ton Tessie's the worst. But, when they do that, that is just absolutely, they're purring the whole time.
Yeah.
And that is just pure love. They're just so happy.
I'm laughing because I had what a Bombay kitty is like.
I've got 2 of them. I've had 4 in my life. Yes.
I went to an animal shelter, and we only got a couple minutes late, so I'm going to share the story real quickly. I went to an animal shelter, saw this little black kitten, and it had a very unique, just something about it, and I thought, well, I think I picked it up, looked, okay, I'll take this one here, paid for it. And the Bombay has no white hair on them, and they're black, and their coat is like a satin black.
Yes,
it's just
satiny, very satiny.
Yeah. And they got a personality. The Bombay is referred to as the miniature black cougar, and that's exactly what it is.
Answer.
Yeah. But one day I was up on my roof, and I had caulked around the chimney and all that, around the vents. And I mean, climbing was not a problem. I mean, up the tree onto the roof, watching me, and she was my little kitty was my inspector. And I come down, and I'm, resting in my easy chair. It's in the fall of the year, and I still got my sweatshirt on, and she climbs up on me, and she's kneading me like this with her paws. And I'm thinking, oh, that's so sweet, because she just knead and purr. And then I realized what you're doing. You got that on your feet. Your wife, you're cleaning your feet off on mine. Cats are very practical too.
Right.
Yeah, her name was Tigger. I tell you, she was quite a character. Well, Donna, our time is going. It really is.
We will be back tomorrow, folks. We hope you have a beautiful day or evening, wherever you are. And thank you for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow.